about, Piers?
I've heard you're up.
What's the play about?
It doesn't matter what it's
yes,
about.
Yes, it does.
It
and
doesn't.
That's your issue. You want to negate context. And
No,
there is no
it doesn't
argument
matter if
from both of us without context. You know this, and yet you try to negate it.
No, I don't know this.
Here.
No, you can't.
Deal with the context. And if you can't deal with it, don't come with an argument.
Can't tell
deal
me,
with the context.
You can't tell me what I'm thinking.
No, exactly. But that's
right?
what you do to me.
Or what my opinion is.
And that's what people like you do to me.
People like me?
Yes.
What do you mean people like me?
Prejudice. Racially prejudiced people like yourself. That's what you do. That's why we need safe spaces.
You're calling me racially prejudiced?
I've done that several times, Piers. Why are you surprised?
Why are you saying that?
Ignorance doesn't actually suit you.
That's ignorant, actually, what you just said.
I've just told you.
I'm not racially prejudiced.
Okay,
and what you just said is very offensive. And you shouldn't be saying that.
All right, guys. So we got to talk about a video that I stumbled across that goes over a debate about a topic that I've covered on my channel before, which is the concept of all black spaces, all black events, all black clubs, whatever you want to call it, in which, you know, as a society, we accept and say that's okay, right? Black people can exclude themselves from the rest of society, and that's okay. That's not racist, right? However, because again, we live in a society with double standards here, white people are not free to do that, okay? White people are not free to segregate themselves from the rest of society to say, hey, you know what? We want to exclude others, okay? We just want all white, whatever. You can't do that because apparently that is racist, okay? The white man is not allowed to do that. Now, they're going to have a debate here on Piers Morgan's show about the concept of quote-unquote blackout nights or all black events. And I find this debate to be fascinating because he's having it with BLM activist Imarn Ayton. And she's basically going to go off the edge here and accuse Piers of being racist or racially prejudiced during this debate, right? So it's going to be pretty entertaining, right? Like most of my Piers Morgan videos. So without further ado, let's go ahead and get into it.
Blackout performances are dedicated to black-only audiences. Those who are not black are asked not to buy tickets. The Theatre of Royal Stratford East in London says no one's excluded from attending their new show, Tambo and Bones, but promotional material makes clear that white people aren't wanted at the production on the night in question. It says a blackout night is a purposeful creation of an environment in which an all-black identifying audience, can experience and discuss an event in performing arts, free from the white gaze.
Yeah, that sounds racist to me. Also, what the hell does black identifying mean, right? What does that mean? I'm not sure exactly what that means, but okay.
Does this mean I can go if I identify as a black man? There would be someone on the woke side who would have, well, they have trouble disagreeing with that, given they believe in limitless self-identity. But it is more importantly, is it ever okay to exclude audiences based on skin color? What would happen, for example, if it was the other way around? If this was a white-only audience? Well, I'm joined by the TalkTV contributor Esther Krakue and the Black Lives Matter organizer and activist Imarn Ayton. All right, Imarn, I'm just trying to picture what would happen if I put on a theatrical production in London and it said it was for whites only, or people identifying as white, which is obviously a ludicrous phrase, but you would go nuts. You would say that is blatant racism, segregation, dragged us kicking and screaming back to the dark days of appalling bigotry.
Facts, right? Facts. In the U.S., they would say, well, this is Jim Crow. Okay, this is segregation. Or who knows, like Joe Biden says Jim Eagle, right? Jim Eagle.
You would?
Well, it depends on the context, right?
There's no whites-only audience.
It depends on the context.
No black people allowed. What would you say?
Well, I think you're perfectly right. It would be akin to racists finding more ways to be more racist.
So why is it okay this way around?
Okay, so we have to put it into context. It was 1 out of the 29 shows.
Doesn't matter.
Yes, it does. Let's put it into context, Piers. You want to forget about context. Context is everything. It is 1 out of the 29 shows that was targeted towards black people.
Yeah, but that context is irrelevant, right? And the reason why the context is irrelevant is because, again, if this was done the other way around, if it was 1 out of 29 shows or whatever, and one of them was all white, okay, only whites and white identifying only people, we already know what this person would say, right? That would be racist, right? So again, the context here is irrelevant, okay? Is either right, okay, when everybody excludes themselves, or is wrong when people exclude themselves. You can't have it both ways. But again, the BLM activists, the woke race hustlers, they want to have it both ways.
And at no point did they say certain people are not excluded. In fact, they actually said it verbatim on their website. No one is excluded, and yet you have found racism.
No. I just read the rest of what they said. It's pretty clear. You are not supposed to go if you're not black.
No, please consider booking other dates.
AKA, you're not welcome, right? Again, do you think that disclaimer would fly if this was an all-white event, right? If they said, look, this is for whites and white identifying people only, you're more than free to go to other events, okay? We would recommend that you go to other events, right? Do you think that would fly? Of course that wouldn't fly.
Right, exactly.
I think the context, you're right, the context is important. I think the issue here is when it's talking about sort of, blackouts, and it's trying to gather an audience of black people that they believe have the same experience.
Right. Exactly.
This doesn't transpose the same way it does in the US and the UK, right? A black person in the UK could be black African, black British, black from the Caribbean, right? In the US, their conversation around race is completely different, and that's why it's a problem. Obviously, when you bring this to the UK, people are going to be like, what are you talking about? This is, especially in London, the most multicultural city in the country.
Can you see any merit to it?
Of course not. But I don't even think it makes sense in the American context.
Why is that? If you're talking about safe spaces, because let's just be clear, we're talking about safe spaces.
Because I think
what do you mean safe space? What does that mean?
Okay, so
you wouldn't feel safe if I came along?
No. Again, context. We're talking about a play that was done by black people, for black people,
Americans,
targeted for black people.
So
what? One out of the... Again, let's just be clear, because you're clearly not getting this message. It is basically akin to the disabled community putting on 29 shows, and 29 shows about disabilities, and then one of those shows is targeted towards the disabled community. That is what it is akin to, and yet you have a problem. Why is that, Piers? Have you genuinely asked yourself why it's different between disabilities or disabled community or Jewish, but when it comes to black,
my problem is that you have already conceded that if it was the other way round, and this was a whites-only night of this theatrical performance, you would say racist. And that's my problem.
Spaces.
It's
safe spaces.
It's the
black
double
people
standard.
are disproportionately affected by racism.
How do you know that, right? Again, these people just throw out these claims. Black people are disproportionately affected by racism. How do you know there's not racism being done towards whites? I'm just saying, and to what degree? How do you know? Again, these people, they just make these wild claims and try to say, well, I'm a victim, right? I'm a victim, so I should have these special rights and privileges. And it's not just a black thing. Just name any group, right? LGBTQ, well, I'm a victim, so I should have these special rights and privileges. Women, right? I'm a woman, well, I should have these special rights and privileges because I'm oppressed, right? I'm marginalized. I'm discriminated against. It's just amazing. It really is. All these people want to be victims. In fact, this is a screenshot right here. Let me save it. The screenshot.
Therefore, it's about safe spaces. This play is about racism. Therefore, we should have a safe space for black people as we are disproportionately affected by racism.
I don't think you tackle...
You wouldn't say that to a woman. You wouldn't say that to a woman when she was talking about abuse, and therefore she wanted, and they wanted, and she wanted a safe space.
No, I'm sorry.
Say that.
The idea of safe spaces and black people needing safe spaces is extremely patronizing.
But we're talking about racism.
Okay,
let her finish.
What about Asian people? Do Asian people need safe spaces from racism?
When talking about
Asian people,
I'm answering your question.
We don't have this conversation.
Let Esther finish.
No, she just asked me a question, so I'm answering it. When talking about Asian racism, I think they deserve a bit of a safe space. When they're talking about their own experiences,
from black people or from white people?
From all types of people that are going to promote judgment. Because it's about being free of judgment.
Okay, so white people shouldn't be free of judgment, right? You see how she also deflects when asked about who do Asian people need safe spaces from, right? Because you can argue that, again, if you're looking at the context of the United States, you could argue that Asian people do need safe spaces, but not from white people, right? From other people that, again, she doesn't want to really say because, again, that would kind of defeat her argument here, right? In the sense that, black people are the ones that need safe spaces. But, again, it's hard to make the argument that black people are the people that need safe spaces if they're the ones that are putting other people in danger, right? If other people actually need safe spaces from them, okay, which might be closer to reality. But regardless, the idea that any group of people actually need a safe space based off their skin color is ridiculous, okay? It should be mocked and ridiculed because it is a ridiculous idea. It really is. And it is incredibly patronizing. It really is.
I'm
ask you a
sorry,
question.
free
Let me ask
of
you-
white
hang-
judgment,
Mark,
free of
Mark,
Asian
Mark,
judgment,
let
free
Esther-
of all types.
Let somebody
of
else speak,
judgment.
please.
No, I'm going to.
Or we're going to
No
have a
problem.
safe space where you get removed so that only I can be
Happily,
heard speaking.
happily, and I'll say bye to you both.
I will have a one night only
Happily,
Piers.
happily, I'll say bye to
Only
you both. I'll
Piers.
see you on Saturday. I'll say bye
I'll
to
have,
you.
I'll
and
have
I
one
won't be
night of the
back,
show
no
where
problem.
only I am allowed to speak and you're not allowed to because of your skin colour. How would you like that?
Well, that's called racism.
Exactly.
isn't it?
Exactly my point.
No, it's not. It's
Esther, let me
completely
ask you
different.
this. What would most
This woman's
black
ridiculous.
friends of yours or family think about this? I mean, in other words, is it something where a lot of black people might go, you know what, actually, I can see some merit to this?
They would see it as an American importation, right?
Does that mean necessarily a bad thing?
I think that it would. No, yeah, it would be seen. It would be seen as ridiculous, but ridiculously, particularly American, right? Because black people are not a monolith, which we can all agree on. Black people come from various parts of the world. They have different
But they
cultures.
share some-
Unless you're Joe Biden, right? Joe Biden thinks all black people are the same.
This idea that there is a shared black experience,
But they
I think,
share
is
similar-
ludicrous.
but they
Other
do.
than the color
They
of our
do.
skin,
No,
but I
they
don't.
do.
But you have
But
to
you
accept
just-
there are many connotations you're adding. To that.
by your own
I could
testament,
say
you
that.
said
I
that
could
we
say
have
that
shared
as a black
experiences
person, I
by our-
face more racism from Asian and Middle Eastern people, so I should have a safe space from those people.
Fact.
Can you even
That's if you want to
identify
be
them?
specific.
No,
If
but
you
that's
want to be
but that's
specific, you
that's
have the right to
ridiculous.
I don't think.
You
Okay,
have
let
the
me
right to do
interrupt.
that if you've been
Let me
abused.
speak.
You
I
have the
don't
right
think
to do
any
that as
form of
well.
art should ever be exclusionary on the grounds of skin colour, regardless of who it's targeted to or who it's made by.
We're talking about race
The
equity.
whole point of art is it should be for everybody.
But we're talking about race equity.
For everybody.
Ms.
No,
Bowman.
no.
Context.
I don't. No, it's not right. There's nothing racially equal about this.
Yes.
It's racially unequal. You're saying no
Yes.
white people can come.
Context.
It's ridiculous.
What's the play about, Piers?
I've heard your art.
What's the play
It
about?
doesn't matter what it's
Yes,
about.
it does.
It
And
doesn't.
that's your issue. You want to negate context. And
No,
there is no
it doesn't
argument
matter if
from
every-
both of us without context. You know this, and yet you try to negate it.
No,
every
I don't
single
know
time
this.
here.
No, you
Deal with
can't-
the context. And if you
you
can't deal
can't-
with it, don't come with an
You
argument.
can't tell
deal
me.
with the context.
You can't tell me what I'm
No,
thinking.
exactly. But that's
right?
what you do to me.
Or what my opinion
And that's what
is.
people like you do to me.
People like
and
me?
Yes.
What do you mean
yes,
people like me?
Prejudice. Racially prejudiced people like yourself. That's what you do. That's why we need safe spaces.
You're calling me racially prejudiced.
I've done that several times, Piers. Why are you surprised?
Why are
What's
you
going
saying
on?
that?
Ignorance doesn't actually suit you.
That's ignorant, actually.
No,
what you
no,
just
it's
said.
not. I've just told you
I'm
that
not
several
racially
times.
prejudiced.
Okay,
And
so
what you just said
what's
is very
prejudice,
offensive.
Piers?
And you
What's
shouldn't be
prejudice,
saying
Piers?
that.
Yo, Piers Morgan, that guy, right? Low key, high key, really. Piers Morgan, that guy. Okay, I might not agree with everything he believes because I mean he's from the UK, so he's definitely gonna be more liberal, right? You know, in the grand scheme of things on some issues, but still, you know, like. Dude takes issue when people call him racist. He doesn't take any BS from race hustlers, right? And I really respect him for that because he's one of the few white people that are not afraid to stand up for himself, right? He doesn't allow himself to get run over because of the color of his skin. Because a lot of white liberals here in the United States, and some white conservatives as well too, okay? Particularly those that are on, you know, mainstream liberal networks, they allow themselves to get ramrodded by so-called people of color because they don't want to be called racist, right? They're afraid. They're scared to death of being called racist. So therefore, again, they just take any crap from individuals who are not white because they feel like they have to, okay? Especially accusations of racism. And Pierce is like, I don't care if you call me racist. This is my opinion, right? And I respect that.
Piers, what's prejudice?
Huh?
What's prejudice?
If you're
You've been
racially
learning.
prejudiced, you are a racist.
What's prejudice?
That's what you just called
You've
me.
been learning. What's
I'm not
prejudice?
accepting that. Sorry.
What's prejudice?
Esther, will you go and watch this?
Swiftly
No,
move
but I'm-
on.
No, I don't think you should be calling me a racist.
Swiftly move
It's ridiculous.
on. I've done it several times, and yet you have a problem.
then you're
with the
wrong
third
every time.
I did it last year. You're talking
Well,
about
good
it
for
today
you.
as if it's a new surprise.
It's
It's,
a-
not.
it's-
I told you last year you were racially
it's a
prejudiced, and I'm telling
lazy-
you again
it's a
today.
lazy
and yet
thing
you
to
have
say.
no argument.
It's a
That's
lazy
your
thing to
argument.
say.
Lazy thing to say. Well done.
Because I'm
Piers.
not
You're doing
racially
well.
prejudiced. Never
You're doing
have
well.
been.
What's racial prejudice, Piers?
It's being a
Answer the
racist.
question. Answer the question.
It's judging
And that's
people
what you do.
prejudicially
That's what you
on their
do.
skin colour.
That's what you
Actually,
do.
rather
That
like what
is
this
what
theatrical
you
production
do.
is doing.
That's
All right.
what you do.
We've got to leave it there. Thank you both very much. I appreciate it.
Wow. Again, kudos to him for actually allowing that vile, racist, divisive woman on his show, okay? Because she really doesn't add anything of value except just revealing, you know, who's, again, these race hustlers are. Again, they are despicable people, right? And, yeah, they're the real racists, okay? They are the people that are actually racist. So, Again, that was interesting. Personally, I feel like if there can be all black things, there should be all white things. You know, you either can have all of it or have none of it. That's the fair and equal answer there. So let me know what you guys think. Make sure you like, comment, and subscribe. Most importantly, share a black conservative perspective. Peace.